Thank you all for coming. We'll kick off Fall Sports Media Day with co-head volleyball coach Jennifer Walker. Coach, if you want to give an opening statement, goals for the year, then we'll take questions.
Okay. 26th year at this, been here a little while. We are really excited about this team. We've got really good group of, a big group, I should say, of returners. Allison Feigenbaum, Linmar, middle hitter, junior this year. She is looking really strong in practice, so we're excited about that. She's back and looking good. Sophie Sedgwick from Waverly was one of our setters this year. She'll probably, or last year, she'll continue in that role. Again, this year, looking really good. I'm just going to say overall, it's looking really good right now, so I don't have to keep saying that every time. But we are having, our practices are very competitive. And we've also brought in some first years that are very impressive. Peyton Robinson, if you're aware of her from Lisbon, she's gotten quite a few accolades just as an overall athlete in many sports, including softball and volleyball. But we're looking at her as being one of our stronger back row players. Nora Erickson from Minnesota is looking also very strong. She looks very similar. She's the same build and size as Allison. So if you look at them from behind, they're really hard to identify otherwise. So for them, you can kind of get an idea of what she looks like in the middle. She has a heavy hand when she makes contact, which is great. And Whitney Klein from Earlham, she's swinging really well as well. So we've got some newbies that are coming in. We've got a good crew of returners. And then when you look at our overall schedule, it's strong as it usually is. But we're going to open up at Colorado, which is the first trip we've been able to take in 4 years. Maybe 5 years because it was 2019. So COVID threw us off on that. So we're getting to go out to Colorado. Ironically, we're going to play Augustana from Rock Island and Platteville. So we could travel a little shorter and play them, but we'll play both of them. We'll play Hardin Simmons from Texas, and then obviously the host school, Colorado College. So it's going to be a good opener for us. We're excited about making that trip out there. And then when we come back, we're playing regional teams at Augustana and Eau Claire, and then we get a host. So we're going to be busy on the weekends. I will not be watching football probably because bringing it up, I won't be able to see it, but that's okay. And we're really thrilled with what we're seeing in those first 4 days of practice. A lot of good improvement and giving us what we want out of them. So, any questions?
Having a trip like that to Colorado to start out the season, going that far with one collective unit, does that maybe help the team just bond a little bit more than even what they are right now?
Absolutely, and at that point too, then we know that's our varsity, so then they can, in that smaller group then the large group that we have 35 athletes out right now, so that will help them significantly. And then getting to do some fun things when we're out there is also part of the point of going out there, is to do those sort of things. But Labor Day weekend is a great opportunity for us because we're not missing classes. We get to go and just play ball, and then when we come back, then we start classes. So getting those opportunities is really good for that.
Do you go early? I mean, it's tough to acclimate to that.
Yeah, you're not kidding. So they have this thing in the gym at Colorado College. I can't remember what the height and feet is or whatever, but it's like whatever. Breathe deeply. So then there's them messing with you as soon as you walk in the gym. So it is, and it actually affects a little bit when you serve because the air's thinner. So we have to take a little bit off of it, or it'll fly out a lot. So we do have to make some adjustments with that. But yeah, we'll do that.
What do you hope to gain in this first tournament of the year?
Really, obviously it's all non-conference, mostly non-regional, but half I guess is. But we get the opportunity to see what our younger players can do and see how our older players can lead. And for us, that's really important to get that figuring out who's going to be our primary athletes out there. So we'll start with our big roster. Most everybody's probably going to get in those type of trips, but we're going to start working that down to our top 7 or 8 or 9.
With a player like Emerson, who can kind of do everything, block, set, hit, were you aware she was that multifaceted, or what was her development like?
Well, for us, we didn't get to have her for the first 2 years really because she was injured. So last year was great, and we knew she was a very good setter. We liked that about her, and then we had her swinging a little bit more, and we're like, hey, this kid can hit. So that, and she really did bring a lot and make a huge difference in our offense last year. So having that ability to do that. Lexi Nolek is another athlete that is similar to Emerson, where she can set, she's tall, and she can set and hit as well. So we've actually been running some drills with them opposite each other, and that's kind of fun to see too. So Lex is a freshman.
Seems like still like a young makeup of your team.
It is, and the ones that are leaders have maybe only been there like for 1 year in that role, because that big group that we graduated in 21, they were there for a long time. So yeah, we are, I would say, fairly young. We had a lot of growing pains through last year, so I think they're a little bit more prepared for what to expect as the season goes on. I mean, as the season begins and goes on, but I still feel like we're in a really good place. We've got some athletes.
How has COVID made you shift as a coach? Because, you had those extremely veteran players that you got to have for a while, and then all of a sudden, you're young. And so, I mean, just kind of the rhythm of freshman, sophomore, junior, senior got disrupted for you.
Yeah, and it is a little bit different. I mean, the worst part was having to wear masks, and play volleyball at the same time, which was really hard. But as far as that development, I feel like we still have those opportunities. We had that spring season that was like a mini season of 7, so we felt like we still got a little season. It was the next season, obviously, where we felt like, hey, we're finally playing ball again. I don't think it affected us too much because, again, we're back to the spring season and still getting that time with our athletes, so we have that development time. So I think we just tried to make it a non-factor more than anything and just continue to train as we do.
But I mean, how did you keep some of those kids out that maybe might have been moved into the starter spot but been stuck out? Because, there's no scholarship they're playing for. They're
Right.
playing because they want to play.
Yeah, and so you're talking about like the 5th years?
Yeah, just some of those kids that, might have by their junior year started, but now they're not. And so they have to wait, 3 years, 4 years
I
to
see.
start instead of 2 years to start.
Right, and we actually did have a few that just decided, hey, I'm done. I mean, that's a normal thing, but that happened after the big year. I think they thought, hey, I've got 1 more year left. I'm just going to focus on something else. But and that's part of the reason why our squad was smaller last year. We just didn't have those juniors that moved to that senior level. So that was part of it. But I think it didn't actually affect us as much as we might think it might. But we haven't had that many 5th years that have stayed on. And that was really, I think, football has got a ton of 5th years, and that leadership is huge, and that's an advantage for any team that has that. We've got 1 or 2 or 3 that's done it, so.
A little easier to get more than 6 spots.
Yeah, good point.
I know, look at the conference race, the preseason polls are what they are. And
Yep.
you pick, say, 5th or pick 2nd in the conference. 5 weeks from today, you start conference, and what do you want to accomplish? What do you want to see out of this team before 5 weeks from today when you start playing for that conference? So,
Yeah, ball control. Ball control is our biggest thing. In any volleyball team, you have to have ball control, or you can't run anything. So that's what we are working on every day. And that's, actually we're kind of testing and watching today a lot on like how we do with our ball control and where we need to work. Because we've got the hitters, we've got excellent setters, but if we have no ball control, we have nothing. So that's where we're focusing. And if you look at our schedule too, ironically, BV took us out in the conference tournament. Co is the only team that beat us during the season, and those are 2 we have in the same weekend to start conference. So it is what it is, and they're both on the road. So we got to take care of business. But yeah, ball control for sure.
You talked about the leadership, junior class, you have a handful of players, but how awesome is it to have Caroline Kleesner back?
Oh, we are thrilled to have Carolyn. When she came and told us, we hugged her and we were like, yeah, we want you back. Anytime you can get somebody that they have that wisdom, they have those years of experience. You can have a really, like a Peyton Robinson, she's already good, but she's going to get so much better by her 4th year. We're already at a 5th year now. And so for Caroline, that's huge, leadership-wise, but also skill and experience is huge, yeah.
Is that an advantage or disadvantage when co's so early?
I don't have a choice on that, so, but it's not the way it's been, and they move around. So we're excited, and being ranked, they got all the votes except the one that Co had to give to us. So I'm okay with that because I'm really excited about this team, and I feel like we are across the board going to be stronger than we have been in just last year. So I feel like we've got the guns to get it done. So for us, it might be fun to do that in the first part of the season and just go get them right away. Maybe they're not expecting what we actually have. So.
I just had the impossible task of picking 7 high school area volleyball talents to highlight this season.
Yeah.
And I noticed that this area is rife with volleyball talent From a recruiting lens, is there a better place to be than Northeast Iowa in recruiting volleyball?
Not a better place. This is the best place. I mean, like for us, like we're traveling today. There's the first day of opening high school competition, and we're both on the road and going different directions, and it's in Northeast Iowa. So for us, absolutely. We don't have to travel really far to find that talent. We still get them from obviously other places, Minnesota and places like that, but no, we can look in our backyard and they're right there.
Who are some of those players that didn't play last year that you think have made big strides and could be usable this year?
Yeah, good question. Let me see what I've got here. That's a good question. Off the top of my head. Because we're looking at, if I had my roster, it'd be a lot easier. 35 athletes. It's insane. Thank you. Okay.
Flip the other side.
There we go. See how big it is? It's insane. I think Cameron Ellison, she had a knee injury last year. She came into our final game of the season, which was the game where BV beat us, and actually had an ACL. So she's back with a knee brace on, but looking very strong. So I think that's very helpful. She might probably going to be jumping in there from time to time. I don't know if I mentioned Kaylee Anderson. She was on the court a lot. She'll be back out there again on that right side position opposite Emerson. Jenna O'Donnell has been doing very well in the back row, and she's our Waterloo West gal. So she also may be getting on the court a little bit more from time to time. And the rest, gosh, they're like all newbies. So there's opportunities for all of those people. Abby's looking phenomenal. Abby Hammond is looking extremely strong right now. She's been working. She looked that way in the spring. I think she just flipped that switch of maturity from sophomore year to junior year, and she's just a different kind of Abby right now and just poised out there, which is fun to see.
You bring up Peyton Robinson, obviously, you don't want to put too much pressure on a freshman, but a kid like that was so accomplished as a four-sport athlete. Now you go to college and you focus on one sport.
Yeah.
How exciting can that be potentially down the road? Or
To keep her like
yeah.
her athletic mind going,
Yeah.
kind of thing. Yeah, that is a challenge, and I think it's a little harder to do two sports in college. So I think for her, she was excited for this opportunity, and she's just going to go. She's going to give 100%. She is, and I'm not exaggerating. A lot of times coaches will say that. I'm not exaggerating. That is how she rolls. She talks. She goes up to the ball. She gets to the lines. A lot of times athletes just go out. She gets to the line every time, and she's constantly communicating. So she'll keep herself busy with trying to get better every time she's on the court. And so we're excited about that. I don't know in the long run how that will be, but I think she's going to be all right. Yeah.
Wartburg is, of course, poised for a successful year. That's what the hope is for the Knights.
Yep.
So kind of just talk to me about how you're conditioning them to just sort of be, prepared for and to live up to those high expectations, to, mentally prepare to meet them.
Yeah, and we talk about it every day in different ways, but we just talk about just the mentality when they're on the court. Obviously working together, that's key in volleyball. You have to be able to communicate and that sort of thing, but giving them that confidence that when we're on the, so we don't condition, like when you're talking about conditioning, but it's different. When we condition, it's all on the court. We are doing ball control all the time. We are competing. We have scrimmaged probably 4 times in 3 days. We are constantly putting them in game situations. So rather than running drills and just working on one certain thing, we're putting them in game situations at game speed. And then we will also add in later, we'll do wash drills, which are faster speed. So that's how we condition and prepare ourselves. So when the game comes, the ball actually seems like it's coming a little slower if we're doing wash drills. Does that make sense? What wash drills are? So we're feeding the ball in faster. So that's conditioning and doing all of that too. So when they get into game mode, they're ready to roll. And again, we're on the court constantly competing and not worrying so much about drills all the time.
Thank you for your time.